Thank you all for being here. My name is John Bowles. I head the Risk Service Department at LP Insurance Services, and we're about to begin this webinar on cyber issues, cyber risk assessment, and strategies for you to mitigate those risks. So it looks like we've got Justine back. She's muted, but once she gets off mute, I want to make sure that she's ready to go. And then I will turn this over. So without any further ado, let me turn over the presentation to our partner. We brought in Bolton Street Programs because they not only have the expertise in the risk financing portion of this, but putting together their program, they partnered up with a company that helps their insureds reduce their risk, mitigate their risk, and get back up running more quickly after a cyber event. So at this point, Kristen, I'll hand it over to you.
Okay, all right. Thank you all for joining. We are very happy to take some time to educate you on cyber industry. So I'm Kristen Freda. I'm one that works for Bolton Street Cyber Solutions, which is part of our Bolton Street program. We are a Broad Street partner, and our program is partnered with Justine DelPrete, who is the Director of Sales and Marketing of Elpha Secure. She's our InsurTech, and our InsurTech is the one that has helped us to make this product exist in the first place. I also have Debbie McLaughlin with me, who is the associate underwriter, and she's the one that will give you very quick quotes when they are within our guidelines. Okay, so it's if you're not comfortable speaking out loud or you can't speak, I encourage you to use the chat box. I'll ask questions. If no one answers the question, I think I'm just going to call on someone. I think John's going to be my default. John, are you able to unmute yourself?
Yeah, I'll be your plant, and I'll do my best to answer the questions appropriately. So thank you, Kristen.
Okay, all right. So we are curious to learn a little bit about our audience today. So we'd like to know if anybody wants to tell us about their business and what they do. So John, I know that this is more focused on construction segment.
Yes, indeed.
Okay. Are
yeah,
you
I can tell you that in general, Kristen, on the line, you're going to have general business, but you'll also have general contractors that have subcontractor partners that may do the majority of the work, and they would be the managers of the project. And the general contractor is then dealing with the owner or developer, in many cases, of a public entity. You'll have trade contractors that deal with many large general contractors, and also have indemnity agreements to protect any damages that the owner may have, as well as their general contractor. You've got other LP employees on this line as well. And then, of course, like I said, general business clients that have all the needs of anyone who has email or access to the internet.
Okay.
And
Okay.
Kristen in the chat, Kim chatted in. She's a subcontractor in the elevator industry. It looks like she's with N-Pro Elevator Inc.
Her name is Kim?
Yes, Kim Henson.
Hi, thanks for joining and speaking up. Kim, I'm going to use you to maybe learn a little bit. We're curious to know what brought you to this webinar and what you are looking to get out of it. Were you dragged into it against your free will? Okay. Were you bribed?
Kim responded. They use LP as their broker.
Okay. Okay.
And
All right,
she's
that's-
she's looking forward to learning new information.
Okay, wonderful. Knowledge is power. All right, so I'm gonna pass it off. Justine, I think this is your slide we're coming up to.
Yes. All right. Well, welcome, guys. So my name is Justine DelPrete, as Kristen introduced me. So I'm here to teach you a little bit more about the tech part of it, since we are we are the Broad Street partners for that aspect of the program. But first, I want to talk about what's the problem that's actually facing small businesses. You know, why did John or LP, your broker, bring you and ask you to sit through this webinar? And that's kind of vague and very difficult kind of answer to that question. And the real issue here is that cyber is overtaking the world in so many different aspects. But for small businesses, I want to focus there. So I have these stats up there and you guys could read them and see them. But especially in this pandemic, we have seen cyber crimes jump by 600%. And the reason for that is obviously due to hard financial times, but also because of the anonymity that goes along with it and the difficulty to find the culprits and to the people who are held accountable to determine who they are. And in this world in cybersecurity, when you talk to anybody, there's no such thing as a perfect cybersecurity piece of software. There's always potential to be hacked. And that's why insurance is so important in order to protect you and recover, along with controls in place to protect you on a daily basis. The idea here is we want to create resilience. We want equal cybersecurity plus the insurance. And unfortunately, until this point, the market's really failed to talk to businesses like yourselves. They've really just gone after large enterprises or government agencies and banks. They haven't developed or something that was easily manageable and affordable and comprehensive for you guys. So it's kind of like I'd like you to think about cyber as like the new auto insurance, or like if you were to go to buy a car. Would you buy a car with no airbags or insurance? Would you drive around? I hope you wouldn't, because it would find yourself in an unfortunate situation. So that's what cyber's become, and it's just as important to have both of those things working together. And just because you don't sell something on the internet doesn't mean you don't need cyber insurance or cyber to have, controls in place. If you have a computer, there is an office and paperwork is done and it's uploaded to any kind of files for any kind of Word document, PDF, cyber is something you need to think about now. So I thought that this would be a really great segue. So here's an actual claim that was given to me by our chief underwriting officer, and I thought I could speak to a lot of people on the call. So obviously for legal purposes, we have XYZ construction, and this is a real claim that we saw come through. And this construction company was about $5 million in revenue. And they had stored all their past, current, and future construction plans. So all the architectural plans for all the government bid jobs that they were working on, so on and so forth. Obviously, just on a couple desktops. There was about 20 employees, maybe if that, 15. And one morning, an employee attempted to log on the computer, and they got a message, and it had like a big X on the screen with a skull, informing them that all their files had been encrypted and that they had to pay 5 Bitcoin in exchange for the decryption key in order to get back all their files. So if they didn't pay the Bitcoins, goodbye files. And they had no backup or any type of cybersecurity because they were a construction company. They really didn't think there was any need for this. Luckily, they did have somewhat of an insurance policy here. It didn't cover it fully because it was only an endorsement, but this company ultimately paid the ransom in order to get back their plans. And then 3 days took them to encrypt the files. And by the way, the encrypted files, they had to hire someone to decrypt them because they didn't even know what the decryption key was or how to even go about that at a higher firm. So they lost about $250,000, which they had to pay in order to get back the files. That was the ransom. It was 250. So 5 Bitcoin is equal to $250,000. The second piece is that there was $50,000 in lost income because they were out of commission for about 3 days while they were trying to recover everything. And then the 60,000 is what the forensic investigator charged them in order to do this for them. So I want you to think about that and, you know, what a financial loss that would be. And especially in a COVID time, imagine taking that hit. It was not fun for them. And then where we are today, a lot of people don't know this, but actually Biden administration on January 21st decided that they were coming up with some recommendations, and I don't want to say the word mandate, but we're going to say strongly suggest that all small businesses and contracts, there's a certain protocol that is now being put in place to handle cyber crimes because it's gotten so, it's hit such epic proportions that it's now affecting every single type of business and all types of enterprises from government to, you know, private sector, and that they needed to interject. So organizations are now allowed to pay ransom, but only if they adhere to those 3 things that you're seeing on the screen now. I have a question. Does anybody here have any one of those 3 controls that they're talking about? No one? Yeah, that's the problem. So guess what, guys? You have controls in place and you pay the ransom. You are looking at possibly being civilly sued by the government.
Justine, excuse me, Justine, Allen is asking, what is IR?
It's recovery plan. In simple terms, it's a recovery plan. Some type of insurance. Any others?
Thank you.
Sure. So if you don't do, you know, how are you going to keep up with this? How are you going to do compliance when I'm sure half of you either don't have these in place or don't even know what these controls are? And that's where Bolton Street comes in and AlphaWare. A lot of insurance companies are already requiring, if you want insurance, to have these controls in place. So, and large clients and enterprises have already put these controls and are way ahead of the times and evolved. And now the government's basically strongly recommending and almost mandating these. So, you know, we're not far off, and this is where it's going to go. And everyone needs to just, you know, we need to evolve with the times. So what are we bringing to the table? We have designed a program that is joining risk mitigation and risk management and putting it with cyber insurance. So you're going to get a cyber software and you're going to get it for free when you buy the cyber insurance policy with Bolton Street. And the reason for this is because we wanted to solve the issue of being able to give you, the small business owner, some type of cybersecurity protocols and controls in place so that you could be prepared just as a large enterprise would at a budget conscious rate and trying to service small businesses. We're more of the back end structure. So Bolton Street Cyber Solutions, they're still going to be heading the program, and your broker is still, of course, your #1 line of defense. And that's why they're the ones that brought you here. So they'll be the person to bring this to you, but we're kind of just the back end structure to that. Any questions there? Before I move on. Okay. So what is the AlphaWare? What is it going to give you? And is, you know, what are those controls that the government was talking about? And what are we really most concerned about? So what you're seeing on the screen, to simplify it, these are all the controls that you're going to get with AlphaWare. And each of these controls are going to be installed with just a few clicks. So you're going to receive an email notification to put in the software. You're going to click next, click next, click next. And then it's kind of like a forget it and, install it and forget it kind of thing. It's always going to be working on the back end. The only pieces that you really have to actually actively participate in is if you want to remote access in, or if you want to use the VPN. If you're sitting at the airport, you will have to click the connect to VPN button. Otherwise, it's pretty much just going to always be backing up and working in the background. So the first thing I'd like to talk about is the critical data backups, because that gets you back up and running. So that whole scenario with the claim construction, XYZ, why they lost all their files, this is what this would address. So what does it do? It's a backup and restoration of all your data, so that if somebody did ask you for that ransom, you wouldn't have had to pay it, because you could have just used our backup. You would have called us or sent a notification. We probably would have contacted you before, because we'll be monitoring these things using a couple of other tools. I don't want to get too technical on this call, but we'll be monitoring. And every time that you save any of your files, it's going to be backing up onto a cloud service that we use called Blackblaze. And Blackblaze will have it, and we'll be monitoring it. We never get the encryption key. So you have half of it, we have the other half. By the way, we are not looking at any of your stuff. We cannot have access. It's just backing up all your information so that you can retrieve it. But you have half the key, I have half the key. And without both pieces, nobody can retrieve it. So why is this important? Because your data restoration software is going to eliminate you to having to pay that ransom. So that's why that's important. Of course, securing your remote access, that's, what does that do? It basically avoids any company data to be vulnerable to anybody else. So it's protecting it. And why is that important? Well, it's important because we want network security. It's going to mitigate claims. We don't want people who are not supposed to, that are not authorized to be on your network to be on your network. So we want to close the portal and make sure nobody's getting in and seeing any of your things except your employees and you. VPN is just a virtual private network. This should only be used and should be used like if you're sitting at a coffee shop or if you're at the, airport. Some people, they make fake routers and you think it's like the Wi-Fi of the airport, it's free and you connect and then they steal everything and then they can get right on your network. So we just tell our clients, when you're anywhere except the office, use your VPN. All you have to do is it'll be a little icon in the right bottom of your screen. You click it, you click connect, and you're safe. And of course, antivirus, we don't want any malware getting in. So anytime anybody's surfing the web, we're going to be looking for something, of that nature and staying ahead of any cyber threats as it comes through. And then, of course, version testing. So a lot of the things that we see is people don't update their apps. When you have your mobile phone and you see all those little red icons because none of you people are updating your apps. When you don't do that, it's really bad. And the reason for that is because when software evolves and as time goes on, it learns where it screwed up and what mistakes it made. So it makes patches to combat those issues. And it sends out an update to all its users to patch the problem so that the vulnerability is now closed. When people don't update that vulnerability, they're still open to it because they haven't done it. So that's when hackers can get that way.
Justine, Barbara has a question. She's asking, is using your VPN the same as using the personal hotspot on your phone?
I would not use your personal hotspot. Actually, you could use your personal, I shouldn't say that, hotspot. No, it's different. So a VPN's like the free Wi-Fi. You can, if you don't have Wi-Fi, that's when you usually use your personal hotspot, right? But if I'm sitting in an airport, there's tons of free Wi-Fi. If I'm sitting at a coffee shop, there's tons of free Wi-Fi. And if anywhere you go these days, people always say free Wi-Fi and give you the password. So we ask you to use the VPN. Yes, it's using the data, but it's also when you're logging in and you're using your own Wi-Fi then. So a virtual private network is private. We've made it for you and your network. So when you're using anything work related, I would not use a personal hotspot or a free Wi-Fi. Only use your VPN. It's just not safe. Any other questions?
This is John. I've got a quick
That's it.
question. So I understand that now the threat actors, sometimes before they demand the ransomware, will go in and study your system, your architecture, and find out where your backup is, and then lock up your backup before they spring the cyber attack. So with the Elphaware backup system, is that protected, or is that also at risk of a threat actor trying to lock out your backup?
So, so the word that you're using, backup, is a little bit confusing because our backup is a cloud. So Blackblaze is a cloud, and we don't like to, so this is a little bit more insurance lingo, and I apologize for getting technical, but one of the big problems right now facing the insurance industry is aggregation issues. A lot of people use the same cloud backups, and that's Amazon and Microsoft. So we decided not to use an aggregate, but just as powerful. It's hosted in Canada. It's called Blackblaze. It's extremely credible, and it has never been hacked ever before. And I don't ever see that happening in the near future. They have hundreds of people sitting there protecting this, and all your files are being backed up into that cloud network and being stored so that you can have access. Now, remember, nobody can access that unless they have both encryption keys. So once you install Elphaware, you have encrypted all of your files. So without those two keys, no one can hack into your backup. They would need both. And the only person who's going to have that is every employee gets, like, you're going to get your encryption key. So they would have to have every single employee's encryption key that was only sent to that employee, nobody else. And we would have to give it up. They would have to call my CEO personally and ask him for that encryption key. And he would have to he would have to rummage and find it and give it up.
Justine,
So
isn't there a timer for the encryption key as well? So when you send it out, they have a very short window to retrieve it, and then it resets, and they have to request it again to make sure that no one else is going to get access to it.
Correct.
Okay.
Does that
And
answer that
so
question?
if someone's system goes down, if someone gets hacked, everything gets encrypted, by having their information stored to the cloud, that allows them immediate access to all their data?
Yeah, so it depends on how much data you have and how many versions. So our backup is pretty intense. And I think the one great differentiator, but also kind of could make it a little bit slower than most, is that we update every version. So a lot of times, a lot of other softwares, they do it on a cadence, meaning like it's done the same day, same time every week. And that cadence, unfortunately, doesn't allow for new versions. Every time somebody saves a new version, we have that version. So we can find the one that was encrypted to make sure that you get back everything and nothing slips through the cracks. And it's all just going to be sitting there. So it takes about, Kristen, I want to say, depending on what kind of company and how large you are, 6 hours to 18.
That's a quick recovery. That's good.
Yeah.
Okay.
Less than 24.
Yes, that answers my question. Thank you.
You're welcome. No problem. I'm going to hand it back to Kristen.
All right. So what are the benefits of the software? So we have two little columns here. As you can see, with Elphaware, that 1400 is the cost of the insurance itself. All the coverage is coming with it. It's included at no additional cost. On the right side, you can see $4,500. So in the standard marketplace, you can't find a software product that includes all of these different elements that Elpha Secure has. So you would be stuck buying it a la carte. And so you can see each one, we put down around $1,000 to purchase it. So once you purchase that, you're around $4,500 before you even get your insurance. So you can see the value that's built into this product. And I want to emphasize that the insurance is the last stop. So it's all about preventative measures. So the software is really what is the biggest differentiator to what is out there in the market. It's not hard to get cyber insurance, but to find an experienced insured tech who's customized and created their own software, that's a little more tricky. And so this software is designed to make sure that you likely never get a claim, you never have to dip into your insurance, and that's a good thing because when you have claims, that can affect your rates for your insurance as well. So they complement each other very well. Okay, so insurance. I'm not going to go into details about the insurance, but they are there up on the screen for you to take a look at. Perhaps some of them look familiar to you. Producers may be more familiar with this and they can explain it to their clients. We'd be happy to as well. I'm just going to start by asking if anybody has any questions on insurance coverage or any scenarios about how insurance responds to anything that you might be worried about. Okay. All right. So if anybody thinks of anything, even if it's after the presentation, if you want to have a one-on-one with us, we're more than happy to go through coverages, or we could speak with your producer, and they can give you the details on what we provide. I would say one of the biggest things that we are really happy to have that we can offer you is crime coverage. A big majority of claims have been coming through crime coverage in the past 2 years as a result of COVID, people switching to remote access. There's been a lot of vulnerability working from remote desktops. So we have seen a spike in claims, as Justine was mentioning before, in ransomware, in phishing, social engineering. And so the insurance will cover that. Our sub limits are much higher than what's out there in the marketplace, and heaven forbid something were to happen, waiting period to get you back up and running is 6 hours. So it's superior to what's out there in the market. I do want to just throw in there, in the future we're going to have fraudulent wire transfers covered, but it will be specific to everyone other than clients that hold funds in escrow or engage in these transfers daily.
I have some questions for our clients that are sitting on, LP clients that are sitting on there right now. Do all of you have an office where there's at least a minimum, I don't know, of like 5 computers in an office? And you use it to upload files, do Word documents? Yes. So if that's true, I know it sounds ridiculous, but it could be a problem. Also, something Kristen and I always talk about, Kristen loves to talk about this, the phishing. Has anybody ever gotten an email saying, hey, your Amazon account's been disabled? Or Chase is sending you this, please update your information. It could be personal. Yeah.
So it's a
okay.
question, did we get it today or just this week? Because yes, they are constant.
I know. So again, I know that you might be smart and maybe you didn't open that and you knew better not to log in, But a lot of people, also some of these hackers, I must say, are extremely good at mimicking the same website. So you'll click it, and and again, until I worked for a cybersecurity company, I did not know this, but a lot of the times they will look identical to like Amazon login or Chase login. So you'll go and you'll click, you'll think, so you're just like, okay, let me check this out. Like, I don't think this is real, but let me just double check. You click it and it looks like, and you're like, oh wait. And up at the top, when you see the website, it says like chase.com. But guess what? There's a thread. And if you add more details and you were to look and have a lot of things in place, you would realize that it has maybe one little differentiator. So it's not really, but unless you knew that, most people don't. So you could have an employee just click it and by accident and just do it. And it's opening you up to your network. Also, a lot of times I've actually had, this is kind of funny. I'd like to share a funny story with you guys, but I had a friend who fired someone, and this person had a masonry company, and this person's employee deleted after they got fired. They deleted the entire computer drives in all the office, like every single computer drive in the office. Now, this person doesn't do a lot of transactions daily with credit cards, but all the titles to his vehicles on, because they were all uploaded to the computer system, and he had no paper, and he lost all his protection plans, just like X, Y, and Z, and all his just like information was gone, everything. So, and he had no way to restore it. So he had to start from scratch, which unfortunately was not fun. He had no idea where he was with government bid jobs. Like, did he get them? Did he not send the right documents yet? What part of the process was he at? And then his entire CRM system of clients was gone. Everybody had been deleted. So remember that it's not just even about a hacker. It's just, it could be anybody, or an intern working, or a disgruntled employee who just is upset with you. And unfortunately, a lot of our stuff is on technology now, so.
Yeah. Claim stories make insurance so interesting. I've got a quick story I'm going to share with you guys. I had a client. Fortunately, they had cyber insurance. They ran a tight ship. They had all their systems in place, but when it comes to phishing emails, they can sneak through the system. They had an employee working there with her first day, and she's learning everything. And the person that was training her got up and went to go get lunch and left her alone at the computer. And she got an email from the owner of the company, and it was the owner's email address, except that it was like one digit off. And we call them actors. And the actor said, "Hey, I need you to send me all of our employees' data now. I need it for HR." And she sent the spreadsheet. There had to have been, I think, 2,000 employees on the spreadsheet in the history of their company that she just sent over instantly. And needless to say, recovering that personal data, protecting people after paying out the claim, it was over $250,000.
Yeah. And that's the thing, is that if the software, and trust me, I'm not here to tell you that, AlphaWare is the best things in sliced bread. It's going to give you a security posture. It's going to put the controls in place that you need in order to be as secure as you possibly can while still not bankrupting you. And then also it's going to give you the insurance, right? So our solution is just coming equipped with both and trying to prepare you for both. Nobody else, any questions, or could even be something random that you heard on the news and you just want to know more about? Okay. All right. Well, thank you guys.
Yes, thank you. Hope you have a
Thank
good
you very
day.
much for your help on this. Just on a final note, the issues that we're seeing on our side is typically we're selling policies that cover property loss, perhaps liability loss, perhaps crime, maybe business interruption or time element. The problem we're running into with the cyber risk, it hits all of those things, and the risk is changing. It's evolving quickly. So thank you all for taking the time to educate yourself on what is going on in cyber risk today. And if you have any questions, please feel free to contact your LP representative, and they can properly advise you going forward. Thank you.
I think I saw something come through. The slides be emailed to us later? I don't know. John?
Yes, Ryan, can you jump on for just a minute? Because you should have the slide deck on that. It's also, this is recorded. And so, Ryan, if you'll affirm for me if what I'm about to say is correct. But I think what we can do is those people that attended, I believe we can send them a copy of the slide deck and point out how they can get hold of the recorded version if that's what they want. Would that sound right?
Yeah.
Correct?
Yep. I have it recorded, and I'll send out a copy to everyone who attended, and anyone who couldn't attend will be able to look at it.
All right. Thank you all.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.